also let me do this. Okay. Right, this morning is every little step I take. And my name is Steve Davis, and I'm from New Zealand, or Aotearoa, down the very bottom of the world. And I wondered if you've thought about your life and where it is going, or where it has been going up to now, and where it is now, and where you want it to be. You know, every part of our journey is a step in progress. And so I want to take you through that and just pause some questions for you to reflect on where you are so that you can better assess and then move forward inside your life. I love this particular scripture. It's from a book called Psalms, and it says here, "Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path." And I want you to reflect on a lamp and what it's able to do. And those words, see, a lamp doesn't light up the whole world in front of the person. It just lights up the portion directly in front and a little bit more. And so when we take steps inside our lives, often we don't see too far ahead, just like this, what this verse is saying, but we're able to see a few steps in front. So I really encourage myself, as well as the people inside that are here today, is that to keep moving forward in faith rather than what I call fear. Because as you do, and as I do, then the appropriate or the corresponding path will light up before us. So let me show you what I mean, and we'll come back to this a bit later on. Every part of our journey, there is a fork in our road. And that's in relationships, that's in finances, that's in our family life, that's in any area of life that you can think of. There's always decisions to go one of two main ways, and that is the faithful path, faith-filled path, or the fear-filled path. And if you think about the decisions that you make, I think you'd mostly agree with me. So yeah, you know what? Whenever I made a decision, I've done it out of either fear or I've done it out of faith, believing or being scared. And that leads to two different outcomes if we keep going along those paths. And so it's really good to reflect how we do it, because as Peter Jacobson, he's our amazing trainer and helping us to go from chaos to breaking our mindset and moving forward. He says this: your life, or my life, will always move in the direction of the most dominant pictures inside our mind. And so if in our mind is consistently ones of thoughts of fear, then guess where our life will consistently move in? It'll move into places of hiding, places of shrinking back, places of downward spiral. But if it's in the direction, if the most dominant picture in our mind is towards, you know what, I'm going to stretch myself, I'm going to move outside of my comfort zone, you know, I am wonderfully and uniquely and beautifully made, you know, I'm going somewhere in life, then guess what? That's where our life will move in over time. So how does it, what self-fulfilling prophecy are you and I fulfilling? Let's have a look at how our decisions practically can look. So we have two choices, as I was mentioning before. We can move down the fear path, or we can move down the faith-filled path. And when we make those decisions, we start to move down that path, and then we get another choice somewhere down the track. It could be the same day, or could be in the very, very near future, but we get to choose again. We're going on that path, and we get to choose again. Do we go down the fear path a bit further down, or do we go down the faith path a bit further down? Now, if we choose to go down either one, like I said, the fear will lead down to a downward spiral, and will end up becoming a self-fulfilling prophecy. What does that mean? That means, you know, those fears that we have, and we go, oh no, this is going to happen. Well, it ends up happening because we keep choosing the fear-filled decision making. But if we go down the faithful path and we keep saying, you know what, I failed there. My weaknesses came through here, and you know, but never mind, I'm going to get up and I'm going to get through this hurdle. I'm going to go over it, under it, around it. Then, you know, we start to move down the faithful path, and then we start to see the result. Hey, you know, this is starting to work. We're fulfilling our own prophecy. No one else can. It's about us and what we're doing with our thoughts, and so our habits, and then so our lives. Now, if you look at it, in the faith-filled path, any step of the way, we can then choose again faith or fear. See, so we can depart from the faith-filled path, or we can depart from the fear-filled path, and that's up to us. And it happens over time. And I want to bring to each of us to think about that. You know what? We may have lived decades in the fear-filled path in one or multiple areas of our lives. Or we may have lived in the faith-filled path for one or multiple areas of our life. It takes time to live such a life, and it takes time to dismantle and then move from one path to the other. So I say, if you're inside the fearful path and you can recognize yourself, man, you know what? Over the last whatever amount of time, I've seen myself move towards faith. Be encouraged. But if you're in the faithful path and you're seeing yourself, oh, you know what? I used to be so full of faith, but I've been moving to the fear for whatever amount of time, then recognize that and say, you know what? I'm going to make a decision, perhaps today, to depart from that and move back to the faithful path. It takes time, and over time, we can be moving forward positively rather than negatively. And the other thing I want to say about these decision-making process, it doesn't have to be over, it could be over the whole part of your life that we make these decisions, but it could be in an individual area. Like some people are very successful in relationships, but they're not so successful inside business or the way they live. So they need to adjust in some areas, not all. Other people are really strong inside the business area, right? But they're not so great inside the relationship area or the friendship area or the family area. So whatever it is, just know that it can be one or more paths. It could be the overall writing over your whole life. So just have a look at where you're at so that you can adjust accordingly. Because what will happen is that our thoughts either become our prison or our passport. I heard this last night and I went, wow, how profound is that? Hearing this from Peter Jacobson. My prison or my passport. And some people, and I know I did it for decades in one area of my life, we can live our life in a prison, not even realizing it. Maybe today's your day that you go, you know what? In the area of whatever it is, you fill the gap. I have been in prison. It's time to change that and to get your passport. You know what? I am so encouraged when I turn up to the airport because I know that's freeing me up to travel somewhere special in the world. And I love traveling. How about inside your life? How would you like to release your life in whatever area it is and travel in that particular area to some new place, a wonderful destination, one that sets you free rather than that holds you back? The reality is that no matter whether we blame, if we decide to blame others or take personal responsibility ourselves, that at the end of the day, we are the only one that creates our own reality by the choices that we make. And we make those choices daily. In fact, we make probably hundreds of choices every day, maybe more, in our thought life, and then how we carry it out. Most of the choices we make, we've already made previously, and they are formed by habits, choices of when to get out of bed, when to jump on a Zoom, when to brush our teeth, when to have breakfast. See, those are choices. A lot of them are activated through our habits. And we decided at some point in the past to do them. And so now we do them automatically. That's how our life can be lived on automatic if we don't watch out, created by a decision we made at some point in the past over and over again, well, then it became a habit. So know that no one else does this for you. No one else can change your life for you. They can help you. They can assist you. They can create a spark that will break open the walls of where you're at, especially if it's fear. But you and I are the only ones, by our choices, create our own reality. And so you can change anytime. You can change the dose of prescription that you provide yourself, that I provide myself anytime. We create our own reality. We may be flying high or living life like it's a hard pill to swallow. But the truth is, we fill our own prescription to begin with. So think about the thoughts that you place inside your mind. I think about the thoughts I place inside my mind. And one of our head trainers says, we have around about 60,000 thoughts a day. And what do we focus on with those 60,000 thoughts? Because in those thoughts, he says that we can only have one at a time. So if we focus on the negative, guess what? Our day is going to be mostly moving along. Sorry, it's going to moving along the negative path. But if we choose positive, then guess where most of our life for that day or week or month is going to be moving on. So choose the dose or prescription, the thoughts that you place in, that you focus on, that you dwell on, because that's what's going to cause you to move in either direction, positive, negative, stronger, or weaker. And then let's come back to this, that your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. As we make those decisions, we start to move along positive path or a negative path, and then the world starts to open up. You know, I was 47 years old when I decided, I wouldn't say just decided, but I hoped, believed, and started moving along a path to see three things happen. I'd never been on a cruise ship. So I said to myself, I would love to go on a cruise ship before I'm 50, or by the time I'm 50. I said, I would love to break out of the 9 to 5 and be retired from that by the time I'm 50. And I said, I'd love to meet the love of my life by that time. So those are three things that I said at around about 47 years old. You know what? All three have come true over the last 3 years. But I had to begin 3 years ago to go, you know what do I want and why do I want it? And you know, and when do I want it by? And so, you know, just talking with people, sharing my dreams, you know what? One of those persons said, I'll take you on a cruise. And so I went on one cruise and then I went on a second cruise. You know, that helped open up my path to success. The second one is that I thought, oh, you know, I didn't know about the business that we're in now, but I went, oh, how am I going to change from this 9 to 5 job? I didn't know COVID was coming. I didn't know about online in any great way. But as I was open to it, I was moving along that path there. I wanted to change from the 9 to 5 grind. I started to see, hey, the online can do this. I kept failing forward in that until I came to the current business that we're a part of. And then, you know what? I struck it in a May. It looks like I struck it rich, but you know what? I struck it rich because 3 years previously, I'd realized the online world, the digital space was the way to be or way to go. And so that's how I ended up becoming a 6-figure earner for the first time. During that path, I also opened up to inspirational books that talk about breaking mindsets inside here, which helped me to reflect on how I'd lived my life financially before. Based on all my learnings, I thought I wasn't going to be rich. I thought I was unlucky. But because I knew in these books and audios, then I was able to change that. So when the right platform came ahead, you know what? I embraced it and fully moved along to where I am now. And so then thirdly, we talked about the third one, is that in terms of relationships, you know, there's a time when I broke up in my marriage in my mid-40s, and I said, never, ever again. You know what? When we make a decision like that, that guarantees you'll never, ever have a relationship again. So a few years later, as I worked through some of the things or many of the things in my life, I opened up and said, you know what? If I say never, then I will never have. I went, I'm going to open up so that I can have at some point in the future. And over the last 2 to 3 years, I failed. I looked, I thought, oh no, that's not quite, we'll be friends, you know, that sort of thing. And then it came through to the last few years, and that's exactly what's happened. Found the love of my life and beginning or along the path to building a life with that person. See, I chose positively in 3 areas, and I could go and talk about many. What about yourself? And I've seen them move forward in 1, 2, 3 over the last 3 years. How about you? Each step that we take leads to the next, and it can be positive to open up our life in that direction, or it can be negative to open up our life in that direction. I just say to you this morning or today, wherever you are, is choose faith, not fear, so that you can move forward better and not be bitter, and you can move forward sooner, not later, to the life that you want to have now rather than later.